Hello, this is a recording of the Student Advocacy and Support Service Exclusion Proposal presentation. This is for students who have received an exclusion proposal letter from their faculty. We highly recommend attending an appointment with an advocate. However, we understand that this is not always possible, so we hope you find this recording helpful. I will begin with an acknowledgement of country. As we gather for this session, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the various meaning of place, and in doing so, recognise the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. We acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging of all the land we work and live on, and their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. Here is an overview of what will be covered today. We understand that this can be a stressful letter to receive. You may have already been going through a rough trimester before getting this letter. However, we are here to help you through each step of the process, and you don't have to do this alone. During this information session, we will cover how advocates can assist you with your proposal to exclude letter. We'll go through a case study which will cover how to respond to this letter. We'll share some common issues students face and how to get support in improving your studies. We'll also provide detail around the written submission and review meeting process and provide an overview of the next steps. When reviewing an exclusion proposal, this is not intended to be a punitive process. The letter you have received is a proposal, and the committee does not decide what will happen regarding the exclusion until they have given you an opportunity to respond to the letter. However, if you do not respond within the timeframe, they will apply the exclusion automatically. Advocates are very experienced with helping students through this process, and we can review your written submission and provide feedback, assist you to access resources and supports to improve your academic progress, support you at the review meeting, and assist you to understand the outcome once you receive it. Here is a case study of a student named Harry. We'll go through this case study as an example of how we can support students. So a little bit more about Harry. Harry is enrolled in M300, a Bachelor of Commerce at Deakin, and he's in his second year. Harry's received an exclusion proposal letter after failing all his units in his most recent trimester, and he has contacted DUSA for support. So this is Harry's proposal to exclude letter. It's likely that you have received a letter similar to this. As you can see, it outlines that Harry has received this proposal letter because he's failed 50% or more of his enrolled credit points in each of his last two active study periods, and because he hasn't met conditions that were placed on his enrolment during a previous study period. Your letter will also state the reason for this proposal here. You can accept the exclusion or respond applying to review the proposed exclusion, which means you can explain the circumstances that have been impacting on your studies and the actions you've taken or plan to take to address these factors. Please take note of the date that your reply is due. We will talk a little bit more about this later. The other component of Harry's letter to note is the date or the date range indicated for the review meeting. The faculty will confirm the specifics of the meeting closer to the time and once you've submitted your response. However, it will be within this date range. I'll now play a video that explains Harry's circumstances and how an advocate can provide support.
I recently received an academic progress letter from my faculty, and never having received one before, I asked a DUSA advocate for advice on how to respond to it. I explained that I'm studying a Bachelor of Commerce and that I'm at the end of my second year. In my first year, I was diligent in attending classes and engaged in my studies and had a credit average. During my second year, I became unwell, and this impacted my ability to study. During the last trimester, I was hospitalised and was unable to complete my final exams. I didn't communicate with my unit chairs and I ended up failing all of my units. Soon I was sent an academic progress proposal email from my faculty that said I was going to be excluded from my course. I attended a group appointment with other students in the same position as me, which was led by the DUSA advocate. She went over the process with the group and then we spoke one-on-one after the session. I told her of my personal circumstances and the problems I faced during the preceding trimester. She referred me to the different Deakin support services that could help me and gave me advice about the documentation I could gather to support my written submission. I drafted my response letter based on a template provided by the Student Advocacy and Support Service, and then emailed it to the advocate to review. She made some helpful suggestions and sent it back for me to finalise. I then filled in the faculty reply form and attached my written submission and supporting documentation. The faculty responded to me with the review meeting details and instructions on how it would run, who would be there, and who I could bring to help support my case.
So, as identified by Harry, during the past trimester, Harry was unwell and hospitalised around the time of his exams. This illness caused Harry to fail all his units. As Harry also mentioned in the video, he didn't communicate with his unit chairs about the struggles he was facing. We know that university study can be challenging and that students are often juggling multiple demands, and we encourage you to reflect on what issues have been impacting your study. Some possible challenges and impacts could include health, both physical and mental, work commitments, family commitments, financial and academic issues. As Harry mentioned in the video, he was unwell during the trimester. In regards to support services, Harry could seek ongoing support from the medical centre to help in his recovery. If the issue was ongoing, Harry could also register with the Disability Resource Centre to develop a learning access plan that will support his studies. In terms of the academic side to Harry's challenges over the past 2 trimesters, Harry may seek support from a writing mentor or a language and learning advisor. The university has lots of support services available to help you. And if you need help in accessing these services, or if you are not sure what service is right for you, please discuss with your advocate during your appointment or via email. A list of available supports will be emailed through to you if you just let us know what supports you're looking for. So we've spoken about circumstances that may have been impacting Harry's studies. We've also spoken about the services available at Deakin that you can access. So we'll now go on to the supporting documentation. It is important to provide evidence or supporting documentation regarding the issues that have previously impacted on your studies and the actions you are going to take or have taken to improve your studies. For example, if you've been experiencing a physical or mental health issue, it is important to provide a letter from your doctor or treating health professional to demonstrate how you have been impacted by this issue and the support that you are accessing to manage the issue. We encourage students to reach out to their unit chair for feedback for any units that you are unable to pass during the most recent trimester. You can ask to see your exam during this time as well. As evidence of reaching out for feedback, you can screenshot the emails that you have sent to your unit chairs and include this as part of your response. You can also do this for units where you're taking them for a second time. So you can contact the unit chair to discuss the best study strategies for the unit. The unit chair may also suggest resources or to focus on certain materials depending on the unit. You can refer to our DUSA support services webpage for more examples of supporting documentation. So we've got some lists there for the different services and what types of documents you could look at obtaining. A document that all students can obtain and submit is the Deakin Study Planner. So you can download this from the Deakin website and complete it digitally or physically. I recommend ensuring that the planner is realistic when balancing university, work, self-care, social activities, and sleep. You can also use the Deakin Assignment Planner tool for organising your assignment schedule. If you are unable to locate these on the Deakin website, please let us know via email and we can send them through to you. Another easy document to obtain is an updated course map. You can contact Student Central to get an updated copy of your course map. It's a good idea to include this with your submission to show that you have a plan for the future trimesters. It is also important to be realistic about how many units you can study in each trimester. After receiving an exclusion proposal, we typically recommend considering a reduced study load for the next 1 or 2 trimesters, depending on your circumstances. If you would like advice regarding this, please reach out to us. Okay, we'll now discuss the written submission process. So after the advocacy appointment, Harry wrote his draft written submission and sent it through to his advocate. His advocate then provided him with feedback, and we'll see his updated letter next. However, some improvements that could be made here are Provide some more detail relating to his medical issue and hospitalisation and how it affected his academic performance at the time he failed the units. It's helpful to include dates so that there is a clear timeline. Although Harry has identified some strategies he'll put in place to improving his grades, he could go into more detail about what those strategies are. Regarding support services, Harry could talk about the support he received from the medical centre and hospital by attaching supporting documentation. If Harry requires ongoing support, he could talk about registering with the Disability Resource Centre and developing a learning access plan that will support his studies when or if he becomes unwell in the future. In terms of the academic side to Harry's challenges over the past 2 trimesters, it could be helpful to seek support from a writing mentor, a language and learning advisor, or his unit chair. So, this is Harry's updated written submission after an advocate provided him with feedback. And if we're just having a look at this letter now, so it's good to see that Harry has included dates. So he's put, say, the date that he has organised the appointment with the Disability Resource Centre. He's specifically outlined contacting his unit chairs and booking appointments, an appointment with the language and learning advisor, and also looking at applying for job seeker as well. So he's put in the things that he is doing, and then they're all things he could include supporting documentation for. For example, attaching a course map, showing confirmation of any appointments booked or support received. So DUSA has a written submission template that you can use to write your own letter, which is available to download on our website. Please feel free to contact us if you'd like us to send you the template. We can also look at reviewing your written submission as well. So in terms of Harry for supporting documentation, he could submit with the following: support letter from his doctor, weekly and trimester planners, booking confirmation with the DRC, email correspondence with his current unit chairs, support letter from the language and learning advisor, an updated course plan showing his reduced study load for the trimester. Okay, so here's an overview of the response process. So you can begin to write your draft submission using our template and start collecting your supporting documentation. If you'd like an advocate to review your draft, please email your draft through to your advocate, a copy of your exclusion proposal letter and a copy of your academic results, and we'll give you feedback within 1 to 2 working days. When you're ready to submit your response, you can complete the faculty reply form, which will be located in your letter, and attach your written submission and your documents. If you would like an advocate to attend your review meeting with you, please make sure you also let your advocate know that you've put their name down. And then once you receive your review meeting details, please email the advocate as soon as you receive the time and date of the meeting, and please ensure you send the Zoom details, as this is how your advocate will attend with you. Sufficient notice is required for advocates to attend meetings, especially during our busy periods when results have been released. Here is another video about Harry, about what to expect at the review meeting.
Once you receive the review meeting details, you can let the DUSA advocate know and, if you wish, ask them to accompany you. The advocate will arrange to meet or phone you to prepare for the meeting together. At the review meeting, there will be a panel of Deakin staff members that make up the Academic Progress Committee. Usually, there's a chair who runs the meeting, as well as a secretary who takes notes and 1 or 2 academic staff members. A review meeting usually goes for around 20 minutes, but this varies. After the committee members introduce themselves, they'll ask you some questions. Often, one of the first questions they ask is whether you have anything further to add to the information you provided in your written submission, or if you'd like to summarise your case. At my review meeting, I focused on the key points I wrote in my submission, and I talked about the strategies and supports I now have in place, so that if permitted to continue, I will be successful in my studies. During the review meeting, the committee asked me some questions, such as if I had already contacted my unit chairs for this trimester, and whether I had completed any assessments. Once the committee have all the information they require, they ask you and the advocate to step out of the room, or move to a waiting room if the meeting is being held via Zoom. They'll then discuss your case and decide the outcome. You and the advocate are then brought back into the committee room where they'll tell you the outcome. and they'll also email you the outcome within 5 working days. If the committee needs further time to deliberate on the decision, they won't provide the outcome on the day and will send it to you via email within 5 working days. For some students, the outcome is exclusion from their course. If this happens to you, you can talk to a DUSA advocate about other options that may be available to you. The committee allowed me to continue in my course because I had demonstrated evidence of putting strategies in place to be successful in my studies. They placed a condition on my enrolment, which means that I have to pass a certain number of my units. I plan to follow the recommendations provided by the committee and my advocate, and I'm certain that I'll be successful this trimester.
In relation to Harry, on the day of the meeting, he was feeling nervous and had not had much sleep. The committee asked Harry how it had been going in the units he was studying in that current trimester and whether he had submitted any assessments or received any results. Due to Harry's nerves, the advocate was able to provide prompts regarding this information and the support services Harry had accessed. Although Harry was not excluded, there are times where students may be excluded. There are also occasions where the student may not receive the outcome on the day. And regardless of this, Secretary will email the formal outcome letter to you within 5 working days. If you are excluded, you'll be excluded from your course for 1 year. You'll be advised of your right to appeal the decision via the University Appeals Committee, also known as the UAC. If you want to return to your course after your exclusion, you will need to apply for readmission. If you do get excluded, we strongly encourage students to get support with your appeal and readmission readmission after exclusion application from the advocacy service. We have experience with both of these processes. So this is the end of the recorded session. If you have a scheduled appointment with an advocate or if you have requested email support, please let your advocate know if you have any questions. You can also send through your draft written response when you are ready for review. Thank you.